Our second scripture reading today comes from the Holy Book of Gospel of Matthew, chapter 2, verses 1 through 18. After Jesus was born in Bethlehem in the territory of Judea during the rule of King Herod, Magi came from the east to Jerusalem. They asked, "Where is the newborn King of the Jews? We have seen his star in the east, and we've come to honor him." When King Herod heard this, he was troubled, and everyone in Jerusalem was troubled with him. He gathered all the chief priests and the legal experts and asked them where the Christ was to be born. They said, "In Bethlehem of Judea, for this is what the prophet wrote. You, Bethlehem, land of Judah, by no means you are least among the rulers of Judah, because from you will come one who governs, who will shepherd my people, Israel." Then Herod secretly called for the Magi and found out from them that the time when the star had first appeared. He sent them to Bethlehem, saying, "Go and search carefully for the child. When you found him, report to me, so that I too may go and honor him." When they heard the king, they went and looked, and the star that they had seen in the east went ahead of them until it stood over the place where the child was. When they saw the star, they were filled with joy. They entered the house and saw the child with Mary, his mother. Falling to their knees, they honored him. Then, when they opened their treasure chests and presented him with gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Because they were warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they went back to their own country by another route. When the Magi had departed, an angel from the Lord had appeared to Joseph in a dream and said, "Get up, take the child and his mother and escape to Egypt. Stay there until I tell you, for Herod will soon search for the child in order to kill him." Joseph got up and during the night took the child and his mother to Egypt. He stayed there until Herod died. This fulfilled what the Lord had spoken through the prophet. "I have called my son out of Egypt." When Herod knew the Magi had fooled him, he grew very angry. He sent soldiers to kill all the children in Bethlehem and in all the surrounding territory who were 2 years old and younger, according to the time that he had learned from the Magi. This fulfilled the word spoken through Jeremiah the prophet. A voice was heard in Ramah, weeping and much grieving, Rachel weeping for her children, and she did not want to be comforted because they were no more.
Morning.
Morning.
This is our final week in our series that has come from Expecting Emmanuel. In case you missed the many times that I've said this, I was a single mom for a few years before Chris and I got married. When my oldest daughter was 2 years old, I met another single mom at a church I had attended a few times. And she was looking for a roommate to live in her house with her and her 2-year-old daughter. My daughter, Canada, and I went over to their house and the girls played well together. And so we decided to make a go with 4 of us living together as roommates. Our girls got to share a bedroom and the other mom and I each had our own rooms. Well, after moving us in, I found out pretty much right away that at night, at bedtime, and some other times of the day, the other daughter would throw violent fits, screaming and throwing things, and her mom's response was to lock her in her bedroom and wait for it to stop. The same room that my daughter was trying to sleep in. I asked the other mom to try some other methods of dealing with her daughter, and she angrily told me that I could raise my daughter the way I want, and she would raise her daughter the way she wants, and to mind my own business. It was fairly traumatizing for Canada, and I really felt like her daughter was a threat to mine. And it wasn't gonna stop anytime soon. So we lived there about 8 weeks, and I took Canada and we fled, moved back out. It was a very difficult time for me as a young single mom. This is the memory that came to mind as I read through the Matthew passage for today and thought about the fear that Mary must have felt as she found out about the threat to her 2-year-old son's life. I can only imagine the fear that I felt regarding another 2-year-old's behavior around my 2-year-old pales in comparison to Mary's experience. The scripture says King Herod literally wanted to kill her beloved little boy. This threat was so real and so imminent that Mary and Joseph packed up all they owned and fled to Egypt. Egypt, where their people had been slaves to the Pharaoh for so many years. Egypt, the place where God had freed their people from, taking them from there to the promised land of Judea, the land of milk and honey. Mary and family are now so afraid of what Israel's king Herod would do that they run from that promised land back to Egypt as refugees in a country that had once enslaved them. This sounds like an act of utterly desperate parents to me. In my 28 years of parenting, I have found that the mothering instinct to fear my children's predators and want to protect my kids, even my adult kids, from harm does not go away. I think situations just get maybe even more troublesome with age. As a mother of adults, I am dealing with these instincts in a big way this week. And so I, perhaps like you, am here looking for the good news in this message today. I have to remind myself that the theme and title is Following the Light Through Fear. And so on this Epiphany Sunday, I'm here with you to keep my eyes on that light. Now, this may sound like the simple Sunday school answer, but it's true. Jesus is our light and our salvation. And I'm not talking about some end-of-life salvation to a place with streets of gold. I'm talking about Jesus being our salvation in times here and now that appear to be bleak and full of darkness. Jesus is the light that shines and provides us warmth and comfort and the ability to see our way out of the darkness. Jesus and all that Jesus is, the ways of Jesus, and all that he stands for is the way to follow, the way to a better mindset, the way to a better life, the way to avoid a lot of pain in that life, today and every day. I know that to end here might feel like a very short message, but it's pretty much all I have to impart to you today. And I hope it speaks to your hearts as it does to mine. Follow that light. Allow it to change your life and in beautiful and unexpected ways. Release your cares and give them over to God. May the light of Christ be our guiding presence to navigate us through both good and hard times. I want to end today by rereading our first scripture passage, Psalm 27, 1 and 13 and 14. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Should I fear anyone? The Lord is a fortress protecting my life. Should I be frightened of anything? But I have sure faith that I will experience the Lord's goodness in the land of the living. Hope in the Lord. Be strong. Let your heart take courage. Hope in the Lord. Epiphany Sunday marks our final lighting of our Advent and Christ candles. Today we light a candle against the fear that skirts around the edges of each day. We light a candle against the fear that dwells deep within, heavy and hard. We light a candle for strength. We light a candle for courage. We light a candle to claim the salvation of God to offer to us in Jesus Christ. Emmanuel is our light and our salvation. Whom shall we fear?